Anna Jarvis created Mother's Day in 1908 after her mom passed away in 1905. And it was all created in just a way of honor and cherish all the hard work that mothers do for their kids. So, being today Mother's Day and being a year where I've had to deal hand on hand with grief for the first time in my life, I figured this would be a nice podcast episode and something really fun. Well, not fun, but interesting to see everyone's intake on this. So, welcome back to One More Mile podcast. My name is Paula, and I'm your host. Guys, I am so sorry that I'm not consistent in this podcast. I am trying my best, but part of it also has to do with the topic of this video audio. If you're watching on YouTube, on Spotify, it's really the same. But grief. This year, I lost my grandma, my mom's mom. And today that I'm filming, this is Mother's Day. So it was my first mom's Mother's Day without her mom. And my first Mother's Day without my grandma. Even though she was in Ecuador and we're here in New York, so we haven't spent Mother's Day the past 4 years. I don't have a lot of experience with grief, fortunately, because my grandpa, my dad's dad, he passed away when I was very little, when I was like 6. So I will be lying if I can tell you that I felt sad. It's not that I never loved him, but to be honest, I was really little and I can't remember a lot of things. I get sad when my dad gets sad and when my uncles and my aunts and my older cousins get sad, but it's not like I remember him and feel nostalgic or super sad. It's just empathy for my family members that do feel sad, if that makes sense. And the other experience that I had with grief was when I was probably 22, like 2 years ago. One of my high school friends passed away. We were really close in high school. We would do everything together. She introduced me to the Marvel superhero universe, and we would do sleepovers every other weekend. And when we went to college and when I moved to New York, we just stopped talking. And the group that we were at, we kind of like got into a fight. I didn't get into a fight with her, but I got into a fight with the group. So we lost completely communication. So when I found out when I was in New York that she passed away, I just felt shocked. I never really processed it. And until this day, I have not been able to cry for her. I don't know why. I'm just in shock. I don't know. For me, death and like someone that young, she was my age. It's just I'm in shock. So this episode is gonna be with the least experience that I have because I know a lot of people have been through more, and this is not gonna be a competition. I don't want this to be in the comments of like, yeah, I lost 20 family members and like, yeah, I lost my spouse, blah, blah, blah. I want this to be a friendly conversation between people that are grieving and give advice and give just words of courage for anyone that is struggling with this. And yeah, let's get started. I guess I could explain grief as a song that is always playing in the background. And some days it's very low and you don't even hear it. But some days it's very loud and that's the only thing you can hear. Dealing with grief this time, especially because we're not close in space. I'm not in the same country that my grandma passed away. So we technically missed everything. And my mom is not there either. And for external reasons, they can't go now. So my mom missed her mom's funeral. She couldn't be there for my aunt, for her sister. There's so many things that fall into the grief category, and I think every single person grieving is a whole new universe. But at the same time, I don't know if it happens to you guys, especially for the ones that have lost a grandparent. My grandma was always my grandma, and she would always behave like a grandma, giving me money here and there. And when I went to her house, she would spoil me and let me eat all the things that my mom wouldn't let me eat at home. And I had a really nice childhood going to my grandma's on the weekends. But I had a stay home mom. So my mom is my mom. Like, is not on the cases of people that they had working parents and they had to be raised by their grandparents and they feel like they lost a parent. No, I can say that I lost a grandma, but I still have my mom because my mom raised me, if that makes sense. So of course I feel sad. Of course I cried. Of course I've been in shock. But I think the part that hurts me the most is seeing my mom suffering. Because yes, I lost my grandma, but my mom lost her mom. And I can imagine losing my mom. So I guess that's another part of grief. It's kind of like the circle of life, you know. You're little, you grow up, you get married, you have kids, you become a grandparent, you get gray hair, and then one day we all go there. One day we're all gonna pass away. So it's kind of expected. My grandma lived a very long and happy life. She passed away at the age of, I think, 86. She got very sick towards the end, but she lived a happy life. She did everything she could. She was a badass. So I'm sad for because she's not here anymore, but I'm not sad because she didn't have a long life to live. So I feel like this is the best case into death that could be possible. I can imagine losing a kid. I can imagine losing someone my age. Even my friend, I'm still shocked at this, right? But I want to know, how do you guys deal with losing a grandparent, and how are you there as being a support for your parents? Because I don't know if it's just the Hispanic culture, but my mom hasn't let it out everything yet. She cried for the first like 3 days, and then she became stone. And my mom has always been so strong, so I'm scared. I don't know how to. I don't want to make her cry, but I don't want to just keep distracting her until she forgets about it, because I think it's okay to feel and I think it's okay to cry. But it's just, I don't know how to navigate that. Also, it's not like it's my job to be her therapist, but I want to be there for her, if you guys know what I mean. I don't want you to ever feel bad if you're especially in a someone is sick situation and you're debating into seeing that person or not, especially if you don't have to be the caregiver and like taking care of that person and just making sure they still alive. Clear example, my grandma got very sick towards the end. I got the opportunity to go to Ecuador and I saw all my family. I saw my aunt, that was the one that lived with my grandma, and everyone asked me, are you gonna see your grandma? Mind you, I have not seen my grandma in the last state of her life when she got really sick. My mom will tell me, because she was always in constant communication, she will do FaceTimes and pictures and stuff, and she was like, you don't want to see her like this, and I don't want you to see my mom like this, because this is not my mom, and I don't want you to remember this version of her. Now, this is very controversial, and I don't want you to feel like you are entitled to tell someone what to do, and I don't want you to feel bad because you did one thing or the other. I've heard people that go and see that person and then they regret it because they have nightmares about how this sickness took away their person that they love from them. And I have people regret not going to see them when they were sick because they wanted to be there for the last moments of their life. So it's very controversial. I chose not to see my grandma because I want to stay with the last memory that I had of her. I want to stay with the last memory when I went back to Ecuador last summer and she got to meet Dulo and we got to talk about New York and we got to eat really yummy food and see the paintings that she did and stuff like that. My grandma had a lot of health conditions towards the end, but she was getting a little bit of dementia or Alzheimer. I don't know exactly what was it, but she got to the point when I saw her last time, she will be like, oh, who's this? About Dulu, my husband. She will be like, oh, and who's this? After I introduce it to her for like the sixth time. So she will lose her memory for a short time. She will remember who I was, but she will be like, oh, what are we eating? What are we doing? So by the time I came back to Ecuador, like a month ago, she lost it completely. So she wouldn't recognize anyone. And I just don't want to come from another country and then see her and she doesn't recognize me. And I told my mom the same. Like, maybe it's for the best that you can't go to Ecuador right now, because you're probably going to see your mom after 4 years and she's not going to recognize you, and it's going to break your heart. So if you're in this situation where you don't know what to do between sick and health, and like, should I be there, should I not, I'm telling you, unless you have to be the caretaker and like be there for that person, like my aunt was there for my grandma, if you have the choice to be like, hey, maybe this is too much for me, I'm sure that person will understand. And that person, if that person understands, that's all you need. With grieving and learning and discovering all of these new emotions that I had, I've been also grieving stuff that I shouldn't be grieving. For example, my old life. I called my family, like my mom, my dad, and my brother and me, the original four. And my husband gets mad at it. He's like, "Why don't you include me in that?" Blah, blah, blah. And I get really sad sometimes, to the point that I cry, because I just miss the original four. I miss how life was simple, how everything, like, I had a really nice childhood, and growing up, my parents never let me worry about anything, me and my brother. So I just miss the four of us going to the beach, traveling, or doing anything, watching movies. Quarantine was probably the worst time ever. We literally had no money to eat. We never felt that. I don't know what my dad did to put food on the table, but we would just watch YouTube videos about people traveling, and said that we were gonna be there one day, the four of us, and we had the best times ever. So sometimes, being here in New York now, even though I lived 5 minutes away from them, I had 10-minute walk. Even though I live super close to them, I don't see them every day anymore, and I don't live in the same roof. And just growing up, I can't believe I'm gonna cry about growing up and not about my grandma. But growing up is scary. Growing up is scary, and these situations of grief, it puts you into perspective that life is moving. Life is moving, and it can move with or without you. So you have to hop on the train and keep moving. You can't be stuck forever. But sometimes I wish I could just put pause on a moment and just live there for a while I need it. But yeah, I don't know if you guys deal with that. I don't know if you grieve your whole life. I don't know if you grieve living with your parents. I don't know if you grieve living with your friends. I don't know if you grieve that relationship. Whatever is it that you grieve, I think it's okay to give us time to feel those emotions, and to give us time to grieve the old version of ourselves, to miss that version, maybe do something to connect us closer to that version. But life keeps going, and we have to hop on the train, otherwise we're gonna miss it. I have never been scared of death. I'm not scared of dying, never, and I don't think I ever will. It's not like I chase danger and go doing dangerous stuff that could put me into that situation, but I'm also not scared of doing things. Like, I've jumped from a plane. I think that's the only extreme thing that I've done. But I'm not scared of it. I think when it's your time, and it could happen after many years, after you had a long, long, long happy life, or it could happen right now. I could drink water, and God forbid I start choking, and then that's it, in the middle of a podcast episode. So literally, when it's your time, it's your time. That's why I'm not scared of it. And I think with grief, it's just, I love how in Mexican culture, also in my culture in Ecuador, we have something very similar to the Mexican culture, Day of Death, Dia de Muertos. It's called Dia de los Difuntos, which translates to the same thing, Day of Death. It's just like a different word to use it. But we kind of do the same. It's not as big as in Mexico, but people from small communities will go to the cemetery and will have food with their loved ones that passed away. They will, clean the tombs. I don't know how to call it. Sorry, but they will clean the thing. They will put flowers. They will rinse it. They will bring food. They will bring. There's this thing called colada morada. It's a drink in Ecuador that they will bring to the death. Guaguas de pan, which is basically just bread that looks like kids. I don't know, it's weird. You can Google it, but they will bring that and they will eat it with their loved ones that passed away in the cemetery. And the people that are not from the small communities, which is like people from the capital, people from the city that I'm at, Quito, they will just like celebrate with their loved ones in life, and they will like get together, do the same traditional food that people take to the cemetery, but do it at home, and just talk about their loved ones, talk about what they used to like. Some people will throw a party because Ecuadorian people love to party, and then you maybe play a small visit to the cemetery, and then talk to your loved ones and just be present. But I don't think death is something that people are scared in our culture. I think maybe it's different for someone that maybe was raised not in Latin America, or is just like, no, we can talk about death, or no, we can do this. No, 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 no. It's just something that happens. You know, it's gonna happen to you, it's gonna happen to me, it's gonna happen to everyone on this planet, no matter the amount of money, no matter whatever you want to do, however you want to prevent it. We're all gonna get there one day. So I think the best way is to take it with respect and to honor it, and to treat your life as if you are not scared of it, but you also respect it. You're not gonna be jumping, go bungee jumping every single day, because something's gonna happen eventually if you do it every single day. But at the same time, you're not gonna be stuck at home because you're scared of germs and like meeting people and getting hurt, because that's part of the process. And I think that it's something that I've learned with my experience right now with my grandma passing away. I treasure every moment even more with my loved ones here at home with Dulo, with my friends all over the place. When I can see them every 6 months, I treasure it a lot. With my friends in Ecuador, when I get to go to Ecuador, I truly get to connect. And every single time I say bye to one of my friends, I mean it, and I'm like, I love you, because we never know what could happen, right? I'm in another country. Even with my friends that I see every single week at my run club, I hug them all the time. They're probably tired of me because I say hi to them, and like I really give them a hug, and like I really hope to see you next week because I want to see you next week, and I, God forbid, something happens. And with my family, especially with my family, I try to make time. Now I get to work from home. I try to make time to go to my parents' house, and even if we're just existing in the same room, and then say bye and hug them, because we never know, and I just don't want to regret anything later in life. Well, guys, I think this is all that I have to say for this episode about grief and losing someone. If you have any tips, if you have any books, songs, movies, recommendations for anyone, even for me, people that are dealing with this, please drop it down below. I just want to tell you that you're not alone. This is something that everyone goes through, and we just gotta make the best out of it. Try to honor the people that we love's life with just living our lives to the fullest and making something worth it in this world. I love you guys. I would love to hear you next week here on the podcast, and just keep sharing moments like this. If not, if you want to see me more often, you can follow me on my social media. I will link it down below: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, everything. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon. Bye.